There are best times to catch sharks depending on the type of shark. While sedentary sharks like cat sharks and brown sharks can be caught regardless of the season, migratory sharks like white sharks and hammerheads migrate closer to shore in search of food in the summer. Additionally, sandbar and sandbar sharks come ashore to spawn in the winter, making it easier to target from the shore. There are some sharks that can be caught both day and night, but it is generally easier to catch them at night. This is because bottom-dwelling sharks like cat sharks and striped sharks are more active at night in search of food. Migratory sharks, such as white-eyes and hammerheads, migrate closer to shore at night and actively swim from the surface to the mid-layer. Personally, I don't think the tide has much to do with it. When fishing for bukkake, you have to make sure that the bait does not get washed away, so you usually fish on days when the tide is slow and the chances of catching fish are higher before or after the tide is low. In terms of spot selection, deep water spots are very promising. If the shore has deep water from the front, you can target it even under your feet, and if it is a spot with good current, white sharks and hammerheads will come around. The same can be said when targeting sharks in the surf, but in the case of the surf, you should aim a little further offshore and near deep breaks. Also, when aiming from the surf, pay attention to the tide level. Since the water depth is shallow compared to the shore, it is easier to target when the tide is high after the tide is high. When targeting from the surf, the main target is the sharks that migrate to hunt for food fish. Migratory sharks such as white sharks and hammerheads are likely to be targets. With lure fishing, you can even target sharks, depending on the timing. Kesennuma is Japan's largest port for shark fishing. It is estimated that 80 to 90% of Japan's shark catch is caught here. Japan ranks 9th among all countries that report shark catches and conduct targeted shark fishing. All shark species currently targeted and occasionally caught by Japanese distant water fishing vessels are considered near threatened, vulnerable or endangered. All of these species are highly migratory, making conservation difficult and accurate stock assessments to determine their true status difficult. For example, the thresher shark family is thought to be one of the most critically endangered species, but it is not listed in the CITES appendix or classified as threatened beyond critical by the IUCN, as a lack of data prevents the scientific justification for doing so. Many shark populations around the world have shown declining trends. Despite concerns from scientists and NGOs around the world, we still need more knowledge about shark biology, ecology, range and behavior to develop effective conservation strategies and halt or reverse the loss of shark populations. Commercial fisheries are considered the main driver. To date, there has been little research on shark populations commercially caught by Japanese vessels in the North Pacific, as catch data are only available in Japanese and only aggregated data for Elasmo branches have been reported to the FAO. While some research has been conducted on shark populations in the Pacific, Japan remains a blank spot with only a handful of reports from Japanese government agencies. The main species involved are blue sharks, shortfin and longfin mako sharks, salmon sharks, and to a lesser extent thresher sharks and hammerhead sharks. The exception of salmon sharks, all species are listed as near threatened, vulnerable or endangered by the IUCN. More research is needed to determine which policy measures will be most effective in successfully protecting these populations. Conservation of deep water sharks is difficult. They are highly migratory and require compliance from several countries to protect them in the high seas. Along with detailed catch data analysis, this study aimed to assess the knowledge and decades of experience of Japanese fishing boat captains to determine whether they have observed changes in and collect information on their opinions about and compliance with existing policies. This will help identify ways to make policies more effective. We chose a bottom-up approach because pilot projects using community-based management approaches to shark conservation, such as in Fiji, have proven successful. As daylight throws its first shadows onto the loading bay, fishery workers begin gutting the sharks before removing their fins with razor-sharp knives. It is a messy, blood-spattered business, and a study in industrial efficiency. The fins are hurled into plastic buckets, and what's left of the animals is scooped up by a forklift and loaded onto a truck. In contrast, the marlin, swordfish and bluefin tuna that share the port's 1,000 meters long bay are afforded almost reverential treatment. Kesennuma, a fishing town on Japan's northeast Pacific coast, does a lucrative business in the staples of Japanese cuisine, tuna. Flounder, octopus, crab, bonito, Pacific saury, seaweed and squid. But the trade in shark fins is its commercial lifeblood. The port, 250 miles north of Tokyo, accounts for 90% of Japan's shark fin trade, and the promise of eating the country's best shark fin soup draws busloads of tourists every day in summer. The minimal threat sharks pose to humans is the overriding theme of the town's shark museum, while stalls at the port's market sell everything the animal has to give. Dumplings, jerky, shark skin bags and accessories, and salmon shark hearts, a local specialty eaten raw. Few people outside Japan are aware of Kesennuma's contribution to the global trade in shark fins. And many among the town's 2,000 fishery workers would rather keep it that way, as The Guardian discovered during a recent visit. We were asked to leave the port and film from a gantry reserved for tourists, while local officials turned down requests for comment. Our guide suggested, only half-jokingly, that we had been sent by Greenpeace. Workers, contending with near-freezing temperatures and noisy, hungry seabirds circling above, moved quickly along the lines of sharks removing their fins. Pools of blood were hosed away as quickly as they formed. Most of the shark fins handled at Kesennuma are taken to a nearby drying area, whose location is a closely guarded secret, and sold to upmarket restaurants in Tokyo and other big cities. A much smaller quantity is exported to Hong Kong and China, where the newly affluent have acquired a taste for Kesennuma shark fin. The fishery workers go to extraordinary lengths to pursue their prey. The biggest ships among the town's 130-strong fleet spend up to 50 days at sea, casting baited lines several miles in length along a stretch of ocean between Japan and Hawaii. But growing demand for shark fins, coupled with modern fishing methods, has caused a rapid decline in shark populations around the world, according to conservation groups. Many of the top catcher nations underreport their catches, in violation of international regulations. Sharks play a critical role in the ocean environment, said Pew's Global Shark Conservation Manager, Jill Hepp. Where shark populations are healthy, marine life thrives. But where they have been overfished, ecosystems fall out of balance. Shark-catching countries must stand by their commitments and act now to conserve and protect these animals. The movement to turn shark fin soup into a culinary pariah is gathering pace. The British celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay highlighted the cruelty involved in finning, the practice of removing fins and discarding the body, in a recent documentary for Channel 4, while several Chinese restaurants in London have removed the soup from their menus. The blue sharks that comprise 80% of the shark catch at Kesennuma are listed as near threatened by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Its migratory habits make it difficult to gauge the exact population, but there is no doubt that catches are in decline. Japan caught about 65,000 tons of sharks just over 40 years ago, according to the country's fisheries agency. By 2009 that had almost halved to 35,000 tons. The number of sharks is definitely falling, says Kokichi Takeyama, an expert on Kessennuma's fishing industry who conducts tours of the port. In the old days the fishermen used to throw them away as bycatch, but now they recognize their commercial value. Whether or not consumers use every part of the shark does not safeguard them against extinction, she says. Just walk through the massive piles of juvenile sharks in Kesennuma and the picture becomes quite clear that this is the genocide of a species. Like other members of the species, the blue shark is slow to mature and produces few offspring. Should we wait to protect a species once it's on the verge of extinction, or act responsibly while we still have the chance? Asks Takeda. Several countries, including the US, have taken steps to conserve shark populations, but she holds out little hope that Japan will follow suit. Many Japanese turn a blind eye to the problem and ocean conservation seems to be overlooked here, she says. And because of the efforts of conservationists in the Southern Ocean and Taiji, the Japanese media have spun these issues to appear to be the actions of eco-terrorists. But Japan's international score sheet can't handle much more negative press. The people of Kesennuma, meanwhile, fear that media coverage of Japan's whaling and dolphin hunting industries will put them under closer scrutiny. "We have seen what happened with the whaling issue, and don't want the attention," said one resident, who asked not to be named. "We just want to be left alone to get on with our jobs." 20 countries account for 80% of the global shark catch, according to the Pew Environment Group. The top catching nation is Indonesia, followed by India, Spain and Taiwan. Japan lies in 9th place, with an annual average catch of almost 25,000 tons. The IUCN's Red List shows that 30% of all shark species are threatened or near threatened with extinction, and an internationally agreed plan to conserve sharks reached 10 years ago has had little effect. But Kesennuma's fishing industry is bearing into strong headwinds. According to the city's Ocean Fishery Cooperative, environmental groups have intensified calls to regulate shark fishing over the past 20 years. Globally, there has been a problem with finning, in which only the shark's fins are cut off and the still living shark is dumped into the sea. The shark, without its fins, then dies. An increasing number of airlines have stopped shipping fins and hotels and restaurants have stopped cooking them because of environmental concerns, among other reasons. There are also moves to regulate the blue shark trade through international treaties, raising concerns that the shark market could shrink. Shark processors have also supported the industry by encouraging the consumption of parts of the shark besides the fins. Processed shark products range from minced fish cakes and shark nuggets to shark skin jeans, shoes and collagen cosmetics and supplements.